I shouldn't have did that. Oh well, what's done is done. Hey everybody. So yeah, the thumbnail. Oh my gosh. I pulled thumbnail cards and then I forgot to use them. So the Empress came out and Strength was at the bottom of the deck. It was for the thumbnail, but here you go. Now. Things are like weird, y'all. Oh, here's the moon. Do y'all ever like have these strings of like storyline? It's not a storyline, but there are these little threads. Maybe that's why the Four of Cups kept coming out in the Mystical Dream Tarot with the fate. With it's just like all these little threads that are connecting in ways that aren't the best. Honestly. So the Eight of Pentacles came out. Bottom of the deck is the Page of Pentacles. So this is a Nine of Pentacles energy with the Six of Wands right here. So this is it's like recognition for dedication that leads to new beginnings that are abundant and fruitful enough to give someone stability, honestly. Um, yeah. And the Eight of Wands is here with the Eight of Pentacles. Um, so I'm going to be shuffling and doing the Farmer's Almanac from the days that I missed. Mercury's about to go retrograde. Can you tell? And yeah, I feel like within the past few days, I've had some realizations within my own sort of sphere of things that I wanted to do. And one of the things was that, like, I don't have to wait for the conditions to be perfect to do what I want and what I sort of feel led to do. Um, and it's funny because, again, it's playing on so many things, honestly, from so many like years. Some of these strings go back like probably over a decade at this point. Um, and it's funny because I just recently came across or revisited one of these this year, and it had been so long, and I've been, I don't know, prepared, I guess, in a way that's not. It's not that it's not great. I mean, I guess it's good to have foresight and a little bit of a heads up. I don't know why my hair is like partially out, but we're going with it today. And yeah, I'm feeling weird and emotional. Today's the 5-5 portal. If that means anything to you, we're coming into eclipse season. Pluto is retrograde. Other planets are apparently about to go retrograde, like Saturn and Mercury. And who knows when Jupiter is going to go retrograde. And I woke up to an opportunity that more aligns with um, the shift in direction. And it's funny that I was talking about how I can be like a little bit of a stick in the mud and like the rules are the rules. And then I get the opportunity that I woke up to and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is right up my alley. But anyway, yeah, feeling emotional. And I feel like there hasn't really I'm very appreciative of the space that I'm in my personal life and that I have been in my personal life. Oh, look, there's the Empress. So the Five of Pentacles actually, like the Empress came out, and the Five of Pentacles was the only card left. And now here they are, both at the cut. There's an energy of defiance in this. Even as things, it's like the Empress has the power to make this sort of grow out of season. And it's not the healthiest that it could be. So it's like the beginnings of something. but it's like it's heralding, "Hey Zelda, how are you doing today?" It's like it's heralding the coming of a certain season. Like this is the first. Empress is helping this bloom before everything starts to bloom. And I don't know why, but I feel like it's important. Okay, so I'll give this three more, two more, one more, give it a cut, and I'm just gonna pull off the top of the deck and we're gonna go day by day, by day, by day, by day, by day, from April 17, 18, all the way to May 5, because I was gone for like 2 weeks. Okay. This says if you don't like beets that bleed, try growing a yellow variety such as Touchstone Gold or Boldor, or a white type such as Avalanche or Albino. This was Patriots Day in Maine and Massachusetts, April 19th. You believe what happened to your French? No, stay with. Hey, but you have to stay somewhere else until the house is ready. I'm doing pretty well. I'm emotional. I'm like, I'm not emotionally effed up, but kinda. But I'm good. Like personally, I have no complaints. I'm excited. Um, I finally like there's this body of opportunity. There's this thing that I see all of. There are some really, really, really cool opportunities that are lining up. Also, like I know how to get my resume together, and it's like everything is in a space. Like yesterday I was like I can feel things picking up and like this piece and that piece, and things just came together in a way that I didn't necessarily expect, but like all of the pieces were there, and some of the pieces have been there for a while. um and it's funny how things will just come to mind, or you'll think of something one day, and then another day and a few years later you'll think of something, and then like 10 to 12 years ago you saw something that kind of stuck with you for some reason, and then all this time later it's like everything starts to click 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 fall into place, and then you're like, okay. Oh gosh, but I'm good. I'm excited. Life is happening, and this time I will be less of a passive participant. I'll be more of an active participant rather than a passive bystander in my own life, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, just a little emotional. It's fine. If you don't like beets that bleed, try growing a yellow variety such as Touchstone Gold or Boldor, or a white type such as Avalanche or Albino. There's something in this that is very, it's almost like it's misconstrued, right? It's like if you don't like a beet that bleeds, you can get a different color. But it's like, well, the liquid, like it's not blood. It's not what you think it is. And you can go out of your way to do something different to make yourself more comfortable. You can, but it's not necessary. Like bleed is in quotation marks, like something that bleeds, but it's not blood. The card that comes out here is the Ace of Swords. This knowing is important. This implies that there's been a lot of avoidance in some area, a lot of avoidance in some way because of something that appeared to be something else, or because we didn't like the thought of something being a certain way, but it's not that. And if we keep avoiding it because of fear or disgust or whatever, then we're going to miss out. It's like we're projecting something onto this that does not serve us, that does not fit what it is. And right now, we need to take it for what it is, see the truth in it, and then move forward in some way. April 20th, this was the first quarter moon. It says, when photographing the moon, choose a time close to a quarter phase. The shadows during this time serve to highlight surface features such as mountains and craters. 420. I feel like I saw 420 a few times yesterday. Oh, okay. When photographing the moon, choose a time close to a quarter phase. The shadows during this time serve to highlight surface features such as mountains and craters. The quarter moon is interesting because I've been seeing a lot of full moon and I've been seeing a lot of waning moon. Lots of crescents in the waning moon as well. But here's the quarter. There's something about, see, I feel like it goes back to this in some way. It goes back to this. Because here we're purposefully going out of our way to make something seem, to avoid something, to avoid a certain aspect and feature of what something just naturally is. Here, shadow actually serves to highlight and illuminate things that we can't see when it's exposed to direct sunlight. It's like the sun, it's too much light. It's like, what is it? When it's too much light and things like bleed out. The brightness is too high or the contrast isn't high enough or something like that, where you can't differentiate one thing from the other thing. With this being the moon, it lies more with the emotional, it lies more in the emotional body. So it feels like there are either things that we completely avoid, or there were things that we color in a way so that we don't see the truth of it because of what we fear it might mean about us or about the world or whatever. And that came out yesterday. The things that we hold on to, the things that we need to believe in order to have some semblance of being able to function in the world, regardless of whether they're true or not. But it feels like there are gifts and abilities and features of the self that are hidden because of whatever we do to avoid looking at it or seeing it. The card here is the Knight of Wands. Yeah, this is very much that energy of like the ways that we sort of convince ourselves of something in order to not see a certain aspect of it, right? It's like this Knight of Wands could be like, oh, I'm the best, I'm the greatest. Look at how like peaceful and calm and serene this is, all the while neglecting the fact that he's burning everything behind him. There is also an energy here that's a little bit like burning bridges in a way that is very, it's like it's supposed to protect you, but it puts you in more danger or it puts you in more harm, or it's like it leaves you stranded in the middle of an ocean with no lifeboat, with no life vest, no buoy. What do you call it? The ring. What's the ring thing? I don't remember. The life ring, the life jacket, the lifeboat. It's like you leave yourself stranded in the middle with no help because whatever view of the world that you have or you need to have in order to keep moving forward. But with the Ace of Swords and with the beats, it's time to see the truth because continuing to evade is only gonna, it's not gonna serve you. Next, on April 21st, it's Administrative Professionals Day and it's San Jacinto Day in Texas. So, what looks like a hot pink or bright yellow artichoke? A dragon fruit. From a tropical cactus, these have white or red flesh. Eat one as you would a melon. I don't eat a lot of melons. I don't eat any melons actually. So I'm not sure what that means. But you like cut up the inside and you eat the inside and you discard the outside of melons, right? Like a cantaloupe, watermelon. You eat the inside. What I love about this dragon fruit, so it has these pinks and greens in it and some yellows. And so that's like higher heart, lower heart, but in the middle it's light and dark. It's mostly light, but it has specks of dark interspersed. And the dark might be the seeds, girl. I don't eat dragon fruit, so I don't know. Hylocarius reminds me of hyaluronic acid. Does hyaluronic acid come from dragon fruits? I don't think so, but I don't even know what hyaluronic acid is good for. I should. I've heard it. The card here is the Emperor. So when we can look at and face the things, when we can look at and face the truth and totality of our actions, our decisions, our passions, our drives, the way we go about getting the things that we want, the things that we want, our views of self and of the world that solidifies everything. When we can actually look at the things that we've been avoiding, we have the opportunity to come into this emperor energy. And again, this is where we see the light and the dark in the dragon fruit and that like higher, lower heart sort of frequency. Not surprised. It comes after 420, right? 421. So, that whole like self medicating to avoid certain things thing. When we get beyond that, we can really come into this emperor energy. And life is hard, but it's always going to be that way. Not always. There are always going to be challenges in life. And if we start to self medicate, or if we self medicate when we have a bad day or whatever, then it's like, well, when are we going to stop? When are we actually going to live life? When are we going to show up and be present in a way that we can affect things instead of just continuously being affected by things? And we'll get there when we get there, I guess. So, April 22nd, 422, Earth Day. Shout out to my friends born on Earth Day, Earth Day. Shout out to Rachel, I guess. Let fortune's bubbles rise and fall. Who sows a field or trains a flower or plants a tree is more than all. This does not rhyme. Let fortune's bubbles rise and fall. Who sows a field or trains a flower or plants a tree is more than all. This poem confuses me. I'm like, wait. Let's look at the. Actually, I want to keep these here. So that way, if I want to reference these, I can, girl. And I keep them in order. It's the King of Cups. Let fortune's bubbles rise and fall. Who sows a field or trains a flower or plants a tree is more than all. Oh, there's the rhyme. Fall and all. Okay. I was like, it doesn't rhyme. It's interesting because I've looked, I fixated a little bit on the Ankh held by the emperor. The Ankh is symbolic of the element of life. It's given to him by the empress. Also, he's holding a golden egg. He's been entrusted with something by the empress. There are these purple sort of buds that haven't opened yet, but they are plenty tall. It's like there's been enough spiritual development, there's been enough spiritual insight, there's been enough spiritual growth to help us navigate whatever it is that we're in a space of needing to navigate, but it's not open yet. And so I would say it's a matter of time, but with the emperor, it's a matter of application. It's a matter of us applying what it is that we've gained in a way that grows and benefits and heals not only us, but everyone. Because it's talking about sowing a field, training a flower, or planting a tree. It's something that will grow, or something associated with the element of growth. And it's something that it's an exchange between us and the environment, right? We exhale carbon dioxide, plants exhale oxygen. We need oxygen, plants need carbon dioxide. It's something that's naturally synergistic. And for some reason it's reminding me of that, like the perfect time to take a picture of the moon is when it's in the quarter phase because the shadows will highlight the surface features. And it's like without that recognition and without that knowing in this Ace of Swords, then it's like we'll continuously be this Knight of Wands, or this Knight of, yeah, this Knight of Wands, instead of rising into the authority of this King of Cups. And that naturally sort of synergistic energy, when we're not fully conscious and aware of self, or when we're hiding parts of self, or when we're running from parts of self, or when we can't love or value parts of self, then there's no way for us to know how we can synergistically work with others. When you're trying to continuously like cover up your weaknesses or pretend like they're not there, then it's like there's these pieces of your puzzle that you refuse to let be carved out for something else to fit in there in a very complimentary way. And then for you to do the same for someone else. And it's like with fortune's bubbles rising and falling, it's your vulnerability that's really going to determine how far you go. It's your willingness to cooperate and be open with others. It's your willingness to receive, but also to give in a very sort of Six of Pentacles way, but done on the level of the King of Cups. So it's Six of Pentacles in its like receptivity, but it's King of Cups in scope. It's King of Cups in scale. It's King of Cups in the level of the application of this. It's King of Cups in nature. Because with Pentacles, it can be like, well, I give this materially or financially. What service, what value, what benefit am I gonna physically get? But with Cups, it's more of a spiritual, it's more of an emotional, I want to say melding, but it goes deeper than the physical. April 23, next card, one of my cousin's birthdays. Jasmine releases its fragrance at night. The scent is especially strong during a waxing moon. So here's the waxing moon. We had quarter moon. First quarter moon is waxing. When's the next first quarter moon? We're in Taurus season. So first quarter moon would have been the moon in Scorpio, I believe. No, 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 no. That's full. Aquarius. Moon in Aquarius would have been the first quarter moon. And it's funny because because I got when I was super emotional. the other day. I was like, "Where is the moon? What's going on?" And the moon was in Aquarius. I'm like, "Well, moon in Aquarius for me doesn't really scream like, oh my gosh, Patrick, you're gonna be emotional AF." But it was that first quarter waxing moon. The third quarter moon will probably be in the other side, Leo. And it says jasmine releases its fragrance at night, right? And so if we're constantly seeking this illumination, constantly trying to be in pure light, regardless of if it's like a real light, regardless of if it's actual light. I've been playing the witness lately, and in the desert, um, sunlight is the key to all of the puzzles there. But then you go underground. And when you go underground, there's not always sunlight. And so we use these artificial lights. It's like growing a plant, like the light thingies, right? It's like you can grow a plant inside. I was gonna say online. You can grow a plant online, and I just moved my friend's plants. I was like, why don't you just like raise the blinds a little bit and put the plants on the windowsill because that's the only place that they're gonna get enough light, and these things need it. It's like you can grow with artificial light, but it's like it's deficient in some way. And it's this need to constantly sort of be on the light side of things rather than looking at things in totality that keeps us from experiencing the fragrance of jasmine. It only happens at night. And so, and I think like we have to learn to differentiate like dark from shadow in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of people do. And I talked about it and I was thinking about it a few days ago. It's like shadow is something that is the result of an obstructed light. Dark is just the absence of light. And then I was thinking, well, is there like here, since in this universe, dark is the absence of light, we don't really have a concept of something that obstructs darkness to create a light. But I mean, I guess there are metaphorically and metaphysically, there are a lot of light equivalents of shadows. There are a lot of false lights. There are a lot of things that will come in and will partially obstruct the darkness in order to get you to buy into it, but it won't necessarily be of the light. It won't necessarily be of higher divinity. That would be us sort of falling for this Knight of Wands. It's a very Sagittarian energy. Something that will come in, and Sagittarian, it's South Node Sagittarius, like shadow side of Sagittarius. South Node is in Sagittarius right now. It's very like shadowy, lower, high refined energy, something that will come in and will give you enough information to make you like, again, it's like I'm seeing the scene from that show where this group of people, they summon a god, they invoke a god, and she's seeing it as like this beautiful, like, oh my gosh. But then she discovers the truth of what really happened, and everybody got murdered there except for her. Brutally. Everyone was brutally murdered there except for her. But psychologically, she couldn't comprehend what had actually happened. And so her brain colored over it with the miracles, and like, yeah, like we all got our miracle from the god, and then we all went and lived our own lives, and that's why I haven't seen them or heard from them since then. But then she discovered the truth of what happened, and that's sort of what happens in a lot of ways, maybe not as viscerally, but when we seek these false lights because they somehow in some small way obstruct the dark. But again, with this Ace of Swords and with photographing the moon, and what was the first one, with the beats, that like, if you don't want your beats to bleed, then try a different color. It's like, but it's not blood. And you only see the mountains and the valleys and the craters and all the features, really you see them best when there is a little bit of shadow, when there is a little bit of contrast, because you can't give a highlight if everything is white. There is no highlight. It's blank. It's like, yeah, like here's a blank canvas. Here's a white canvas, and I painted this picture in white. Like it's gorgeous, girl, but well, can't nobody see it. Jasmine releases its fragrance at night. There is a sweetness there. And it's not a sweetness in us like giving in to the dark side and giving in to shadow and being these evil, vindictive, spiteful creatures. I'm gonna be my darkest self. It's like, okay, like you can, I guess. It's your life. That's your choice, but that's not what it's about. Did I pull a card for this? No, I didn't. The card here is the High Priestess. This is what I was talking about. And look at that wet moon. Look at that wet moon. Talking about the crescent moons. So which one is waxing? I don't know. But there's the pillar of the light and the pillar of dark. The High Priestess sits between the light and the dark, not between light and shadow, not between false light and shadow. She sits between absolute light and absolute dark. And because she sits there, she gets a more complete picture. She gets the contrast, she gets the highlight, she gets the shading, she can see it. It's like it's like a topographical map. If you're looking at a topographical map, but it's like for her, it rises in 3D. Anybody else kind of sort of like you get that sort of flat view and you can learn how to interpret it, yeah, but it's not the same as actually seeing it in 3D. I love that. Jasmine releases its fragrance at night. Here's the High Priestess. A lot of people could be like, oh, the High Priestess, like she's secretive and she keeps something hidden. And it's like, maybe, yeah, because I don't know, maybe she lived a few lives as a person who people sought out when they were in a space of trouble, but they were super quick to turn on, and then she got burned at the stake or killed or whatever, right? Maybe not, but people's interaction with priestess, priests, divine, maybe not divine, but like other energy, tapped in energy, in a few different places. There are some cultures where they have been respected for a while and where they are still respected. But I guess in a lot of, not a lot, in some European cultures, it seems more, and it makes sense. I have more of a knowledge of European culture than anything else because, I grew up in America. So, hey, like we have the witch trials, we have all of this other stuff. And like Native American sort of tradition, like shamans were respected and are respected. I feel like in a lot of South American spaces, they were and are respected. Not to say that maybe somebody had a turn of fortune and they didn't like that somebody predicted it or they thought that somebody caused it, so they went after them instead of going after the root cause of the issue or instead of accepting that things just happen in life. Anyway, not to get all the way there, but I also love these aren't jasmine flowers. These actually look like apples. Oh my gosh, there's a black cat here. I've never noticed the black cat literally sitting right next to the high priestess. I've never noticed that thing before. What, Rich? I feel like this cat just showed up on the card. And she's wearing the crown of the triple goddess. See, like she's wearing the crown of the triple goddess. But the pillars outside of her, like it's not it. It's like it's flipped or reversed. And then this moon down here isn't even full. But because it's not full, we can see some of the features, right? Some of the craters and mountains a little bit. All right, moving on. I'm spending too long on this. But High Priestess, okay? So, April 24th, 25th, birthday of Robert B. Thomas, founder of the Old Farmer's Almanac. And then the 25th was Anzac Day in Australia and New Zealand. Robert B. Thomas, founder of the Old Farmer's Almanac, was born on April 24th, 1766, 10 years before 1776, which was, the American Revolution. He was 10 years old. In Grafton, Massachusetts. He grew up on a farm where, in his spare time, he enjoyed reading, especially about astronomy. Oh, that's why the Old Farmer's Almanac keeps track of like the moon and stuff like that. because of his interest in astronomy. There is a little bit, again, like him being born 10 years before the American Revolution. Taurus season, that was Cancer season, so that's a sextile. It's opportunity. But with the sextile, like, it doesn't just happen. You have to do something. There's something here that's about legacy, but it's not a passive one. It's something that we have to be actively invested in, or more actively invested in. Something that we're going to have to actually build. It's feeling very Capricornian, honestly. And then the tower came out. Well, 10 years born before the revolution, and then here's the tower. So if he was born 10 years before the American Revolution in America, in Massachusetts, there's a little bit of an energy in that of maybe not fully grasping or understanding or not having the same awareness as like an adult would necessarily have. Because when you're a child, like you live the experience, but it's a different experience. Because as a child, typically we have less of a say. And as an adult, we probably have just as much control, but we're an adult, so we feel like we should have more control. When you're an adult, there are more things that you can do. You can really take your life into your own hands, and you're responsible for you. But with this energy, with this tower, it's like we come into a certain awareness before something happens, but maybe we're not mature enough to know fully why. It's reminding me of those flowers on the Emperor card and how they're fully grown, but they just haven't like bloomed yet. They haven't opened yet. And it's interesting because it talks about his interest in astronomy, and then we have this sort of coming down from the heavens. It honestly feels like there are some tower moments, some things that drastically shake things up that happen for our good, that happen for our benefit. It's a Uranian energy, Uranian. Uranus is in Taurus right now. This dude is a Taurus. Wait, wait. Sorry. I just like zoned out. There's an energy again of things happening for our benefit, of things happening for our good. But because we only see it as ruin and destruction, it's almost like we never make it to the positive. We never allow ourselves to. It's like when there's something that you don't like and you don't know why you don't like it, or when you've had one bad experience with something, and so that one bad experience is enough to completely color your opinion of that thing forever. And you live so much of your life never giving something a chance or never giving something a try, only to later in life try it and find out, like, oh my gosh, I actually love it. The beats, it's the beats. What? Oh, that's not the beats. We got the beat. We got the beat. Okay, it's the beats. Um, because my lady friend, there's my dude friend, and then his girlfriend, who's my lady friend. She was talking about, growing up, I used to love. I think it was. It might have been beets. It might have been like radishes or something like that. I don't remember what it was. She was like, growing up, I loved it because of how it was prepared. But then when I went to school and then when I had it there, like when I saw it, I was really excited to eat it because, I loved it, but it was disgusting. And everybody thought I was weird for loving this vegetable, but it's about how it's prepared. If it's not prepared in an appealing or appetizing way, then we dismiss it. We go, ew, like I don't like that. I like, oh, I hate that. I hate those. Ew, they're disgusting. And it's like, yeah, but maybe you haven't had it prepared in a way that makes it more appetizing. Maybe you haven't had it prepared in a way that sort of builds upon it, like it completes its flavor profile, right? So if something is naturally very bitter, then maybe you pair it something with something that's sweeter. And so like the sweetness takes care of the bitterness, and then there are these other flavors that that thing has that hides behind the bitterness, but the bitterness overpowers it, and now it's like, oh my gosh, I can taste like this and I can taste that, and it's actually nutritious for me, it's good for me. There's something about preparation, but honestly it feels more like there's a lack of preparation, like you haven't had it prepared in a way that is appetizing, you haven't had it prepared in a way that would make you love it. And with this tower energy, with the focus on astronomy, it's like what we just they discovered radio waves and Venus's atmosphere recently. Hey, Everlong Mystic. Hey, Eve. Roasted beets are the bomb. Pickled beets are like candy. I'm gonna trust you on that one. I've been learning to say yes more in my personal life. And every time I say yes, things work out a lot better than when if I would have said no. So I'm not gonna say no to pickled beets or roasted beets, but I'll give it a strong mix. I mean, I ate like eggplant, so eh. I ate aubergine. What is it? Bacon in Hindi. Not everyone likes them though. Yeah, but also like for myself, like there were a lot of vegetables that I didn't like because I had never had them prepared in a way that made them appetizing. And whenever like my grandma or somebody else would cook them, I just like, ew now. Like I used to love cabbage. Beet fries. What? I might have to try those. How are you doing today, Eve? I'm running through the old farmer's almanac tearaway calendar. Next is the moonbow. But yeah, it's like before, and like our taste buds change as we age and as we get older as well, right? And so it's like for the time and the place when this thing happened, we weren't in a position to see the good that it can do. But now, here in the here and now, it doesn't benefit us, it doesn't serve us to continue to be closed off from certain experiences because of what we experienced in a past time. The planets move, seasons and cycles change, right? It's like you can have like Pluto is going retrograde again. That means that this is about to happen, or Mars is in Cancer again. That means that this is about to happen. Like it's all going to be terrible. But it's like we haven't had Pluto retrograde while Mars was in Cancer, while Jupiter and Neptune were both in Pisces. Pisces isn't, Jupiter isn't in Pisces yet, but it's like we haven't had this complete picture the same. We can look and pick at aspects like be like this is super bitter, that's super sour, this doesn't have any flavor. I don't like that. But when you look at the whole dish, we haven't had it in this combination before. The combination is new. There's an opportunity for new to present itself. So don't be so quick to always look at the things that you don't like in a certain situation. But it can create the space of a negative self-fulfilling prophecy where it's like, yeah, if you hate it, you're going to find something to hate about it regardless. It's not hard. It ain't hard. Energy is weird today. Energy is weird today. I've been like super emotional in a way that I have been prepared for, but it's like there are things that you can be prepared for but never be ready really for. Like I could tell you that something is going to happen and you can try to prepare yourself for it, but when it actually happens, it doesn't prevent any of the feelings or emotions or the reality from setting in. But it's fine. So, April 26th, this was full pink moon in Scorpio. St. George's Day observed in NL. I don't know, or NI. I don't know what that is. North Ireland? St. George's Day observed in North Ireland. And Anzac Day observed in New Zealand. Moonbows appear in a dark sky when a bright moon is behind you at less than 42 degrees high and raindrops or heavy mist are in the air ahead of you. Sour and sweet. Today feels like a Sour Patch Kid. Sour, sweet, gone. Yeah, today will be gone. We only got today. I kind of want some. I have so much sugar. I bought so much sugar. I've been eating so much sugar, and I've been staying up really, really late for the past few days. But it's fine. See, I feel like this is talking about that tower energy. When I was talking about like we've had this and we've had that, but we haven't had all of it together. And this is like things have to be so perfectly aligned for this to happen, right? It's like moonbows appear in a dark sky. So first it has to be dark. When a bright moon, then the moon has to be bright, is behind you at less than 42 degrees high, and raindrops or heavy mist are in the air ahead of you. It's like you have to be so perfectly positioned in order to see this. But this is something that you will never see if you're afraid of a little bit of both of these, actually. If you're afraid of a little bit of this, like if you're afraid of beat and bleats and moons that aren't completely full, then you're never going to see the moonbow. Well, the moon does have to be like bright, bright. So maybe it's not the best, right? But still, it's in the dark sky, raindrops and heavy mist. That's the rain that a lot of us sort of don't like, especially if we're going to be outside sort of looking at it. Also, there's a really interesting energy here because the raindrops or heavy mist is ahead. So moon goals. There's raindrops and heavy mist ahead. So I don't know. It's like it's like things could precipitate. The moon is behind you. We're about to have the full moon Gemini, no, Sagittarius, full moon Sagittarius lunar eclipse on the 26th. But it's like it's this energy of like being between the moon and the sun. The moon is behind you, and it could rain or storm at any moment. And if there's a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, then is there a pot of silver at the end of a moonbow? Now, silver may not be gold, but silver has its uses just like gold has its uses. And silver is still a precious metal. It's still valuable. It's still worth money. And there's actually, it looks like a little bit of a double moonbow in this. Also, the tree right here is reminding me of the tower card. Tower. It's reminding me of the Emperor card in the Wild Unknown Tarot. Let's see. We have the Four of Pentacles. Honestly, this feels like a refusal to see or accept things. in a certain way. And the wreath is above him. The wreath is reminding me of the wreath. It is on the tower card, yeah. But on this one, it's more intact. Even though the colors are pretty similar with the red sky in the back. Um, so yeah, I think that tower energy is carrying through here, and the Four of Pentacles is here. This is us trying to like nail everything down. It's us trying to hold everything down rather than letting the tower take what it's meant to take. And maybe maybe part of what the tower is supposed to take is that rotten attitude or that those greedy, selfish, self-preserving ways. It's like it's interesting that he's wearing so much green, but he's like hiding his heart. It's that energy of like when we isolate, when we push people away, but then when we hurt, we want somebody to be there. And it's like, well, how can anybody be there if we push everybody away? And I've been there. I've been there. It's like there's a disconnect here somewhere. And as much as, oh, come on, I'm trying to record here. I'm going to close my window. I'll be right back. There we go. All right. Um, yeah. And so it's like this could be a wreath of victory from the Six of Wands card, but it's a wreath of mourning. The wreath is mourning in the tea leaf. And it's interesting because, like, you lay a wreath on a casket at a funeral, but I associate wreaths more with Christmas. And so for me, it's like, oh, a wreath, like that's celebration. That's good, right? And it's like, well, no, the wreath is mourning because you lay it on the casket. And it is a little bit of an energy that's like, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened, but it's not necessarily that. I feel like there was something that tried to like pop into my head, but I'm like, wait, is that an actual saying? Like, I don't know. And my keyboard was just like a deep red. I don't think I've ever seen it that red before. The light cycle. Um, and so there is some kind of like root issue because it doubles down on the root, right? This area, it's one, the heart is one, but it doubles down here. And so it's like we can be a little flexible, but not flexible enough to actually move. We can't move anywhere if both of our feet and our butt is like if we're firmly planted on this stair, we're not going to move anywhere. If you're planted firmly on the stair, you're not going to move anywhere. I can rhyme too. I can be a poet. And again, with the moon bow, it's like even if the conditions are perfect, if you're not facing in the right direction, you're not going to see it. And again, that's this energy with Robert B. Thomas, being born 10 years before the American Revolution. He doesn't know why probably. He doesn't know why anything is happening. He doesn't see why it's important. Like, he doesn't pay taxes, right? So he's not like, when they're like, no taxation without representation. It's funny. Let me not get into the ironies of how we become the villains after we fight the villain. Anyway, there could be victory here, but we're stuck in a cycle of grief because we weren't mature enough or because we didn't have the experiences that could color this in a way where we can actually see how it benefits us, how it grows us, how it opens us up. It's like we can't hurt ourselves and well, we can because we're human. We can hurt ourselves and simultaneously want to help ourselves. We can with the mindset of trying to help ourselves actually hurt ourselves. And that's what I was talking about with self-medicating earlier. It's like, be careful of self-medicating whenever something happens in life, because things are always going to happen in life. And what you're doing is you're training yourself to seek out some substance or to seek out some activity or to seek something else out, instead of facing life in the moment, instead of working through life in a moment. You're putting it on the back shelf as you reach for something else. And then as that builds up and as more things happen in life, it's like, when are you ever going to break that cycle? When are you ever going to break that pattern? Like, we're continuously and constantly training ourselves in every moment. And should we get a break? Yeah. Are we human? Yeah. Are we perfect? No. But at some point in time, it's like, you're going to have to let something go if you want something different. And the divine spirit can only do so much, because at the end of the day, the choice and the power is yours. It lies within you. April 27. Nothing. Oh, wait. Do not hurry. Do not flurry. Nothing good is got by worry. Hey, see, look at that. I love that that came out. Do not hurry. Do not flurry. Nothing good is got by worry. Thought you had to embody the villain to defeat the villain, like a know thy enemy kind of thing. I feel like a know thy enemy kind of thing is really tricky, because it seems like more often than not we become our enemies. It's like, know thy, like, I have to operate as my enemy to conquer my enemy. But then it's like, after you conquer your enemy, you continue to be that enemy to other people. You become the villain in someone else's story by being the villain. It's like, and again, that's why I say that, like, the energy that we carry when we get something is the energy that it's going to have when we get it. So if we want a promotion and we're really shady and backhanded, and if we cheat other people out of their chances to get it or whatever, then when we get that promotion, that energy that it took to get it, we're going to meet the same energy when we have it. And maybe you're going to be up for a promotion and someone is going to do the same to you. Or maybe the truth of what you did to get that promotion is going to come out, and then you're going to lose it. See, I feel like it's good in theory, but in practice it doesn't really work out. For me, that's one of those, like, South Node Sagittarius things where it's like, we say this and, like, oh, that makes sense. And it's like, you have to think like your enemy to beat your enemy. And, like, I'm such a good cop because I know how criminals think. I'm in there, but it's like, but in real life, a lot of times we become that. It's like, theoretically, is that how it should work? Yeah. But in practicality, are we capable of thinking like something? Are we capable of acting like or behaving like something and not becoming that thing? It's like, when it's the reason why I would never get into politics in the past, because it's like, you don't get in the pen with pigs. It's like, you don't wrestle with pigs in the pen and expect not to get dirty. Like, if you're in the mud, you're gonna get dirty. If you are becoming the villain to be the villain, you've become the villain. It's right there. Like, if you embody this, if you become this, it is you. Like, and a lot of times in our own lives, we'll be like, oh, well, I'm doing this to justify that. I'm justified in doing this because someone else did it to me, or because someone else will do it. But when we're playing that role, like, we are that role. If you're pretending to be the villain, you're the villain, right? It's like, and again, like, we can try to rationalize it and dress it up within our own mind to make it appear a certain way. And honestly, I think in a lot of ways, we do that in a lot of ways. And that's how we can, it's like how we can carry this story of where, like, the military, like, they're fighting for our freedom and they're doing this and they're doing that, but they're over in these other countries doing terrible, horrendous, atrocious things to people who don't deserve it. At what point was it protecting us, and at what point did it become us seeking out resources and justifying things through war to increase our own capital and things of that nature? Like, it's a very fine line. And a lot of times people will hold the mindset and not see what they actually do in real life. And because they don't see it, again, going all the way back here, with the Ace of Swords and this Knight of Wands, because we don't see how we burn the land. It's like we never get there. We have to be aware, we have to see, and we have to make that choice. Like, okay, like I'm not like, you don't have to be the villain to beat the villain. You don't have to be evil to be evil. You don't have to be dark to beat shadow. Or you don't have to be shadow to beat shadow. You can be dark and beat shadow, I guess. But again, like, is that something that everyday people can do? History, or maybe it's the viewpoint of history that I have, history would prove that not, no, it's not really possible for people to, because, insert greed, insert power, you get a little bit of something good, and then you want more, and then you want more, and you want more, and you want more. We always desire. We're human. It's not bad to desire. It's not evil to want something. The ego in and of itself is not bad. It's not something to be demonized. An ego unchecked, when we go out and we acquire and accumulate with no regard for other people and their safety and well-being and health and things of that nature, that's when it can lead us to the not great, right? Because it's the love of money that's the root of all evil and not money itself. And I feel like that applies to that same thing. And again, like, in theory, could it work? Yeah, but does it work? Are people evolved enough to make that so? It wouldn't seem to be the case more often than not. Um, do not hurry, do not flurry. Nothing good is got by worry. What's coming out with this? Oh, the Nine of Cups. I feel like the Nine of Cups is like you don't gotta worry, you ain't gotta hurry, you ain't gotta flurry, because everything will come in time. And actually, like, the more of a hurry you're in, the more of a flurry you're in, the more you worry, the harder it is to see what is actually before you. The harder it is to see that opportunity. And what's interesting is, like, again, green is prominently featured on both of these cards. Like, they're wearing a lot of green, but she's got some blue and he's got some yellow. His yellow is his solar plexus, him acting out of that greed and acting out of that, I gotta get it, I gotta accumulate. Her blue is just like, you know what, it'll come when it comes. I already see it. I already know it's coming. I don't have to worry. I don't have to flurry. I don't have to fight. I don't have to take from somebody else to make sure that I get it, because it's already mine. And when you're in the space of not worrying, again, it's like you can see it. It reminds me of what I said the other day. It's like sometimes when it's like when we look so hard for something that we overlook it. Like when I was looking for these glasses, I was like, I feel like they're in the laundry room, but I've been in there and I've looked and I didn't see them. And my friend goes in there. He was like, they were like out in plain sight. They were in the laundry room, just sitting there. And it's that thing of, the harder you look for it, the easier it is to miss. Or the more you're fixated on it or something else, the easier it is to miss. Next is April 28th, another Taurus's birthday, my little brother. To prevent the spread of plant diseases, dip pruning shears into sterilized skim milk before using. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, we'll just pull the card. Well, Three of Swords. But this Three of Swords, it's coming in as a bit of a, like a pruning or shearing energy. To prevent the spread of plant diseases, dip pruning shears into sterilized skim milk before using. There's an energy here through the skim milk. It's like you are cauterizing something. It's like you're cauterizing something, but instead of burning it, searing it, and killing it, you're cutting it, but you're providing it what's missing with the milk. It's like I don't know if that's how it actually works, but there's some kind of nutritional benefit. There's something in the milk that after you wound the plant, it heals it provides something that it needs. And that's like what's needed in this Three of Swords. It's again, it's like it's that change in perspective. It's that like instead of from a space of heartbreak and pain, instead of going to cause more heartbreak and pain because you want somebody else to, instead of becoming the villain because of how you've been victimized in your life, it's choosing to do better. Like something is being lost, something is being cut, something is being excised for good reason. And if we want to prevent the spread of the dis-ease, then we have to treat it at the source. We cut it and we treat it at the same time. We don't cut it and then leave it open, walk around with all these open, gaping wounds waiting to be infected and then for infection and disease to fester. We don't leave ourselves open and vulnerable to more hurt and pain. But again, with this Four of Pentacles, sometimes from a space of not wanting to be hurt anymore, we actually hurt ourselves more. It's something that's very, it can be very difficult for people to navigate because of, I mean, pick a reason. We're human, isn't there? So many. And then it's like, when we've been hurt by others, sometimes we walk around and we hurt ourselves. I don't know what milk is, though. Milk is from my mother, right? Yeah. And when they do, it's like, I'm like, okay, I get that you're hurting, but also at the same time, I'm not gonna let you just like my friend was like, oh, I'm stressed and blah 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 and this and that, and I'm like, okay, well, but I'm not gonna let you beat up on me. So like, if you want a punching bag, if you want somebody to take it out on, if you want someone who's just gonna silently just stand by and let you be all kinds of ways because you're hurt, like, yeah, I understand, but also at the same time, there are more productive ways to deal with hurt that lead to healing and that cause less hurt to yourself and other people. Are they easy to find? Are they easily accessible? Like, no. But also, it's like that's the power of choice. That's one of the real powers of choice, is when something happens to us that we can't control. We get to control how we move forward. We can't control the fact that it happened. We can't necessarily prevent it from happening again. We can do our best to try, but we can't necessarily prevent certain things from happening again. But what we can choose is how to move forward. What we can choose is like how it's going to impact us and the way in which like we sort of operate. And is it easy to make the choice to go about dealing with this? Like, no, not necessarily. But is it easier in the long run to continue to live life after that healing, or even like in the space of that healing, rather than continuing to go around hurt and hurting? Yeah. And it's like sometimes, when you are hurt, you do just want to be sad. You do just want to be upset, and you can feel your feelings. Like, I give myself the time and the space and the opportunity to feel my feelings like all the time. But am I gonna like be stuck in my feelings to the point where I start to regress, or to the point where things start to, ooh, like, am I gonna do that? No, I'm not. It's not worth it. I've experienced too much good to make any other choice. And the hurt gets me somewhere. It gets me to see something I wasn't seeing. It gets me to be something I wasn't being. It gets me to wherever it gets me. So, April 29, we're catching up. We're catching up. Old habits are iron shirts. It's a Balkan proverb. All habits are iron shirts. Old habits are iron shirts. Comes up with the Hierophant. The Hierophant, in the space of tradition, when we have old habits are iron shirts. It's a tradition that doesn't serve. It's a tradition that doesn't benefit. It doesn't grow us. It doesn't heal us. Can we continue to do it because we've been doing it? Yeah, sure. Right? A lot of people walk around, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But all the while, they're refusing to see all the myriad ways in which it's broken. Like it's broken here, it's broken there, it's broken all over. It's like, what do you mean, don't fix it? It's broken. Again, it goes back to this energy. We can convince and delude ourselves into thinking that this destruction isn't happening as we sort of go about our lives, but we can focus on this side of the card. Yeah, but this is happening, this is real. And to it's like out of sight out of mind, what I don't know can't hurt me, like that's not true. But you can convince yourself of that. You can convince yourself of a lot of things. Like that's the power of being human. And that's how the Hierophant sort of plays. He operates in the space of faith and belief and convincing. No, not all Hierophants are bad, of course. But I feel like this iron shirt, it speaks of the rigidity that we have. Like, if, like, none of these shirts, I don't think we would be able to put on, right? Like, because you have to put your arms, like, up. Like, how do you get in a shirt without it moving? Unless you can like phase through matter, and then it's like, yeah, like, and then you can just like phase through the shirt and like that. It's impractical. It's not meant to be worn. It's not built for everyday life. It's not practical. It's not feasible. Can we force it to fit? Maybe. Can we break our own bones? Can we contort our bodies to make these iron shirts fit? Yes. A lot of us have been doing it for a long time. I mean, that's pretty much basically what you're taught and told here. April 30th. This is National Arbor Day. 1 acre of trees provides enough oxygen for 18 people per day. So here we are coming back to the tree from the poem that I didn't really understand. This is that synergistic energy. The trees take in carbon dioxide, they give out oxygen. We take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. Naturally, as things are, it works. It naturally fits, it naturally flows. We don't need Hierophant energy to come in with these iron shirts and tell us how things work. The card here is the Seven of Cups. I feel like this Seven of Cups, again with the trees thing, it feels like it carries this energy of like us disregarding what naturally works, of us disregarding what we're giving, of us given, of us disregarding all that is naturally there in order to seek out like other sort of substitutes, or in order to get other stuff that doesn't work or flow as naturally. And it's like yeah, you can do that, sure, but like why? You don't have to. Just stop cutting down trees. Like find another way to, it's like we're so creative, we have so much ingenuity, we're so innovative, but we don't apply that in the ways that benefit like the all and the earth. It does feel like something is just like there, ready, willing, able, can perfectly fit into whatever sort of role or space we need. But it's something that we take for granted. We take oxygen, especially if you're not like in a sort of place where the air is difficult to breathe, right? If like we breathe all the time, it's easy for us to take breathing and oxygen for granted. It's easy for us to be like, oh yeah, like, oh, trees produce oxygen. Yeah, well, I've never had trouble breathing, so we can sacrifice a few trees. I'm gonna breathe fine. And then it's like, well, after all the trees are gone, or after a significant enough portion of the trees are gone, then the oxygen quality is going to drop. And it's like, oh, well, we can invent like artificial lungs, right? We can create oxygen. We can take some water and put some electricity through it to separate the hydrogen ions from the oxygen ions. And then we'll pump the oxygen into the atmosphere to make up for the trees, right? It's the best of both worlds. We get our malls and we get oxygen. And it's like, okay, yeah, but, or like, I don't know. Something that's very easy to take for granted because we have access to it without knowing that we have access to it, and we're seeking something else. Something that isn't going to, I mean, I'm not going to say it's not going to give us whatever it is that we want, but this gives us what we want naturally. It's not forced. It's just like there. It's synergistic. It's easy. Girl, you're scaring me. You're scaring me. So, oh, it's a reminder. It's like, I feel like the wizard is like, you can choose one of these seven cups, or it's like there are seven cups, but you can only choose one or something. It's reminding me, it like I was, where was I? And it just popped into my. I think I was at the mall. We went to a outside mall thing the other day, um, and it's like you can stop at like seven stores, or you can stop at one. It's the old actor reel or whatever that was like floating around the internet. I think it was the same one with the woman that was like, "Honey, you got a big storm coming." It's like you can do all of that. You can come up with like 15 different ways or 15 different tools and apparatuses to do what one thing can do naturally that's readily accessible and available. But sometimes we have to lose it to appreciate it. And that's also human. It isn't necessarily bad. I guess the most important thing is that you get the appreciation of it. And if it's still there after you lost it, then you can move forward with that appreciation. If it's not there after after it's like if it doesn't come back, then it'll teach us to appreciate. I mean, but it's hard to teach us to appreciate things. I mean, it isn't, but I don't know. Yeah, it's not. I don't know. Let's just move on. So May 1st and 2nd, almost caught up. Today is the 5th. So haste away to meet the May. This is Earth's great holiday. This is by William Cox Bennett, English poet, 1820 to 1895. May Day, Labor Day in Mexico was the first. Eastern Orthodox Easter was the second. Where was that? Somebody was like, it's not Greek Easter, is it? They were like, oh, it's something Easter today. And I was like, what? Haste away to meet the May. This is Earth's great holiday. Here's another poem where I'm like, hey, wait. Seven of Swords. See, yeah, because that, I was like, wait, because we just got that. Do not hurry, do not flurry. Nothing good is got by worry. So it says, do not hurry, but it's like haste away to meet the May. I'm like, wait, so like, which is it? Now, paradox is also something that we as humans learn to navigate. Paradox is also something that we as humans create to do everything that I talked about earlier. To be the villain, but convince ourselves that we're not the villain. And the Seven of Swords is here. And the Seven of Swords is coming out after the Seven of Cups. And it reminds me honestly of that Hierophant energy. It's something that knows the nature of man and that uses it and utilizes it to put itself in a certain position of power or authority. Right? It's like how we have to pay for water. It's like, well, water is kind of sort of a necessity. Like we kind of need water. It's like, oh, people need water. So let's sell people water. And not only are we going to sell people water, we're going to force people to buy water. And then we're going to dump stuff into the natural water so that they can't drink that water either. We're going to pollute the natural water. We're going to seize these other springs and sources that we don't pollute so we can sell it to people. And it's like monopoly. It's like the utilities of monopoly, right? Haste away to meet the May. This is Earth's great holiday. I honestly don't know what this is. And again, honestly, with that Hierophant, Seven of Cups, Seven of Swords energy, this feels like very silver tongue. This feels very like I don't know why I want to say Gemini. I don't know why I want to say Gemini. Shadow side Gemini, but it can be anybody. Shadowy air, shadowy Mercury, like a shady mercurial energy. It's like haste away to meet the May. And it's like, but then the divine is like, don't hurry, don't flurry, don't worry. Nothing good can come of that. See, this is that like, and the Hierophant, it's more than just like our spiritual and religious systems, it's any sort of level of structure. So even like government and law, like all of that, at least for me, falls under the domain of Hierophant. Just like there are, like you have the religious and spiritual laws, there are physical laws, there are organizational and institutional laws. It's all law. And again, it's that energy. It's like it'll cut down the trees. It'll cut down trees to sell you oxygen. It's like, well, we've already made water something that people have to pay for. They got to pay for food because, well, food is understandable, I guess. We pay for land. We pay for all these things. It's like, well, what else can we commodify? What else can we do? Oxygen. We'll cut down the trees. We'll pollute the air. And if people want to be in a space that you get good air and you can breathe and not get sick, you pay more money. And if you can't afford to pay, then sucks to be you. You drew the short lot in life, and you just gotta suffer because we don't care about anybody but our the bottom line. Yeah, it's that very deceptive like mumbo jumbo, and it's like with the two swords left in the back, it just leaves you like what? Like that's when it's like you go along with something, but you know that it's not like you're just like wait like something in like this it doesn't compute, it doesn't register, it doesn't make sense, but I guess I'm gonna go along with it anyway. It's that weird stuff. Hey D, no problem. Thank you. Yeah, this is it's very like it's like intentionally deceptive, honestly. But it banks on it's just like the not I don't want to say it's like the beauty industry because not everyone who does makeup or who is into makeup or cosmetics, not everyone does it to mask or to hide or because they have low self-esteem or whatever, right? There are some people who genuinely do it for the artistry, for how like for the crafting the expression, right? For dressing, it's like dressing how you want to present yourself. But it's like all of the industries that will prey on insecurity. First, what they'll do is they'll put someone in front of you that has the ideal body and has this and they have that they know you don't have. They're preying on your insecurity, and then they'll sell you something else. Like, oh, here's this garment that will slim you down, or here's this shake that'll burn fat, or here's this, here's that, here's makeup. And again, for everybody, it's not the same. some, like, not everyone engages with things in a lack space or from a bad space. It's not like just because you do something doesn't inherently mean that you're doing it to make, like, when like I drink and I like drinking, but I don't drink to solve my problems. I don't drink to run away from anything because I know that that's not a solution. And people are like, well, alcohol is not the solution, but it is a solution technically. So it's like, okay, yeah. If that's the life you want to live, like, that's your life and it's your right to do that. But you can drink, you can smoke, you can have a good time to have a good time. It doesn't it doesn't have to be to cover up or to make up for anything. And so again, going back here and also a little bit here, there's a need for us to really understand why we sort of do the things we do. And there's a need for us to ask ourselves, would it be better if I just face this so I don't have to continue to numb? And so I can live a life that I can actually experience. Because again, with the Three of Swords that came out after, it's that space where we just, like, we continually hurt ourselves because we've been hurt. But haste away to meet the May. Keep you busy, 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 busy. If you're busy, you don't have to worry about it. If you're drunk or high, you don't have to think about it, right? If you're shopping or if you're playing your video games or if you're doing whatever. Oh yeah! I did see that. Oh snap! I wanted to see that too. Was it live or was it a premiere? I'm almost done. I'll be in there eventually. Um, no problem, Eve. So, May 3, we're almost there. May 3 was the last quarter moon, early May bank holiday in the UK. And it's a question. Which of the following towns is located in Wyoming? Is it Chugwater, Hot Coffee, or Potter Place? Chugwater, Hot Coffee, or Potter Place, located in Wyoming. It's Chugwater. Hot Coffee is in Mississippi, and Potter Place is in New Hampshire. So Chugwater is coming out with the Ace of Cups. I love this. I love that Chugwater is coming out with the Ace of Cups after the Hierophant, the Seven of Cups, and the Seven of Swords. After that, more shadowy old Hierophant energy will try to sell you something that you already naturally have access to in a way that gives you less access to it. Chug water. The whole Ace of Cups is there. It's like waiting to be consumed. And then there's the last quarter moon. It's the quarter moons where the shadows highlight the different features on the surface of the moon. And it's the best time to get a photo of the moon if you want to get the features, right? The quarter moon. Because you get more contrast between the bright and the dark. But this whole Ace of Cups is here. And then look at these little flowers in the Ace of Cups. And then May 4th is coming. Oops. May 4th is coming through with azaleas. I love that. It's all, again, it's just like the trees. It's already there. It's present. It's naturally, I feel like it's something that we use all the time and we don't necessarily know that we're doing it. Right? It's like our intuition is always there. It's like, oh, like, choose this one instead of that one. Take the left today. Do this today. Like, do that. Don't do this. Or like, hey, like, you haven't talked to this friend in a while. You should give him a call. Or it's like, again, it's like Hierophant tries to sell us a spiritual or religious experience, but the divine is all around us and in everything that we do. And again, it's my opinion. I can say that. Oh, you just bought azalea. This is interesting because on Animal Crossing last year, I bought azaleas. I bought azalea bushes, And it's like I bought them, and in the game you have to plant them. It takes 3 days for them to grow. By the time they grew, azaleas were out of season. So it's just been a bush this whole time. And I got on Animal Crossing for the first time in 2 months just to like walk around or whatever. And I saw the azaleas have bloomed. I was like, what? Because again, in the game, I had never seen them because I planted them and then they were out of season when they were fully grown. Um, and they were white. I bought white and pink azaleas. No problem. But Chug Water is here in Wyoming. And Wyoming is like, I feel like I'm gonna confuse Wyoming and Montana, but Wyoming, it's like it's open plains, it's like wild horses where everybody's free. It's not necessarily populated by a lot of people. And again, it's kind of sort of going back to like not everyone who indulges or not everyone who enjoys something is using it to cope negatively in some way. With the being a space that's like not the most populated state, right? But it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It has everything that you could need, unless you need like I don't know crowded cities and lots of people. Then maybe Wyoming has a city in it somewhere. Sorry, no shade to Wyoming, but it's that freedom. It's the horses. It's open pastures. It's a lack of. It's a lack of boundaries because they're not necessary. Like if you need boundaries, of course you can establish them, but it's a place where you can be free, where you don't have to worry about being taken advantage of or all of this other kind of stuff. And again, it's available to you abundantly. You don't have to go through this weird 7 of cups, 7 of swords, like, oh, make sure you make the right choice and make sure you do this and do that and blah blah blah. Like you can, again, I don't think I finished the thought earlier, but like the Hierophant is positioned to guide us to the divine. It's the introduction to the divine, but eventually we get to know the divine for ourselves. We form our own relationship where it's not limited to like these 7 tiny little cups where some of them are good and some of them are bad and some of them are all right. Like we get all of that to the point where it actually grows and nourishes everything around it. So, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. I didn't even say that yesterday, but also I'm not too into Star Wars. So, soil that is too alkaline may prevent azaleas from absorbing iron, causing yellow leaves with green veins. To lower soil pH to the ideal range of 4.5 to 6, add ground sulfur or ferrous sulfate. I love that this is coming out. It might have been within the past few days. Um, Within the past few days, it was like, it doesn't like when we grow a plant, we have to take care of the soil and keep the environmental conditions in mind. Oh, there's a saying. Oh, it's like it's in my mind, but I can't find it. It's in my mind, but I can't find it. It's basically, I don't know if it's an actual saying. I feel like it is. But it's like, you can have a seed, you can have a good seed in perfect conditions, but if the soil isn't right, it's not going to grow. And it's not the seed, it's the soil. So either fertilize, put, it's like we have to put into the soil what the plant needs. Again, it's that root energy that this Four of Pentacles was too stuck in whatever they're stuck in to really do. Like, nothing is going to penetrate the pinnacle on the ground. We have to tend to it. We can't continue to neglect ourselves. I mean, we can, but we shouldn't. Like, we deserve love. Yeah, I didn't. I was like, what? Yeah, like 4.5. That's pretty acidic. So, like, you can pour water in, like, some good water. Like, people drink alkaline water. So, if we're using alkaline water, that's definitely not going to help. But like even like neutral water with a pH of 7, it's not acidic enough to support azaleas. You're going to have to do something. Ground sulfur or ferrous sulfate. Ferrous sulfate is iron, iron and sulfur. Each level of dirt pH level varies. Yeah, see, I was thinking about this is the thing about plants. Because I would just go get some dirt. I was like, oh, like I got some azaleas. Like I just want to, like, I want some azaleas. I want to tend to something. I want to nurture something. And then it's like, why isn't the azalea growing? Well, the pH, like, what's the pH level of the soil? I'm like, what? What's the what? Like, what do you mean? It's reminding me, even though the pH of the stomach is a lot lower, it's reminding me of a solar plexus energy. But if the leaves are yellow and the veins are green, then the soil is too alkaline. So again, it's like, hold up, wait, where to go? Where to go? Where to go? Whoa, where did I just put that Four of Pentacles? Hello? Because here's the Nine of Cups. Oh, here it is. Because it's like both of these are wearing green, but in the Four of Pentacles, the heart is blocked. And it's funny, like, this is the yellow and the green. If it's yellow and green, then the soil is too basic. It's too basic. We need to take a higher approach, right? It's like, oh, Hierophant girl, she's passe, she's basic. We need more acidity. It reminds me of tomatoes. It feels like whenever I cook at my friend's place, everything just turns out right. Whenever I come home and I try to recreate it, I feel like I taste the acidity of the tomato. I'm like, I don't know why the tomatoes taste so much more acidic here. Like, it's the same chain of grocery stores, probably, so they should all come from the same place, maybe. I'm glad it's resonating and confirming that for you, D. I'm glad I'm not just like rambling for no reason, right? Iron. Iron is blood. Oh, I wish I would have did this yesterday. If I would have done this yesterday, then we would have started with beets and we would have ended with azaleas. Iron is what gives blood its red color. And then there's the bleeding beets. Maybe they have more iron. And it turns the water red or something. And that's why, like, when things rust, they turn that orangish color. Girl, don't get me to lying about chemistry. I ain't been in chemistry in a minute. But it's iron that carries oxygen. That's why iron is important. Without iron, it's very hard to shuttle oxygen to where it needs to be. And again, here's the plants, and here we're talking about oxygen again. 1 acre of trees provides enough oxygen for 18 people per day, right? So there's that oxygen energy again, because that's what iron is for. I think I ain't took that class in a minute, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's the oxygen in blood. It's the iron in blood that holds the oxygen when it passes through the lungs. And so here there is a transiting energy, there is a growing energy, but if things aren't positioned properly or if things aren't in the right proportions, then it's not going to have what it needs to grow. And again, it feels like there's this abundance of just everything you could need is it's in your vicinity, it's around you, but if you're not going to work with it, if you're not going to utilize it, if you're going to isolate yourself from it, then you're going to wither. Ooh, oh, beets are good for iron. I guess that makes sense if they're red. Yeah, beets came out earlier. I was like, and Eve, she was like, candy or pickled beets taste like candy and beets are good. I was like, okay, I'll have to try a beet. I have to like if for my first beet experience though, I gotta have it prepared right. I don't have to have it prepared right. I would prefer to have it prepared right. So I'm not like, oh, I had beets one time and they were not good. But also, again, I'm like, I'm eating a lot of stuff. I'm saying I've learned to say yes more, and I'm glad I have because there's a lot of flavor out there that I would have completely missed. With like, ew, I don't like vegetables. Okay, girl, whatever. You juice them with carrots. Iron keeps cells and organs healthy. If blood count falls below 12, you can die. Oof. I got a lot of iron. Like my nails are super pink. Apparently, that means you got a lot of iron. Oh, I used to eat carrots. I've stopped. I would buy carrots, eat a few, and then they would go bad before I finished them. Um, I want to get back. I love like carrots are something that I didn't used to like, but I've actually found because I've stopped consuming as regularly. When I stopped consuming sugar, I was able to taste the sweetness in carrots. And it blew my mind. I was like, is something wrong with these carrots? And then I got on my Snapchat and I was like, can somebody who eats vegetables tell me if carrots are sweet? Because I taste the sweetness in carrots now. And one of my friends was like, yeah, they have some sweetness. Like they're a little sweet. But, natural sugars. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. So, azaleas. Sulfur is what is it? Is it fire? Sulfur is the element of fire. Mercury is air. Salt is earth and water is water. I think sulfur is the element of fire. And so it speaks to alchemically. My knowledge of all that stuff is very limited, but I got the SKT and she talks about it in the book. So that's how I know. I have to try that. See, ooh, y'all making me want to try some beats, but I gotta have them right. See, this is reminding me of like whenever there's a natural fire in an area where nature is has adapted to fire. It's like what eucalyptus or maybe bamboo. Hey, how you doing? Oh my gosh, welcome. I'm almost done, but you did make it. How are you doing today? Did I ask? I didn't ask you how you're doing today, D. Sorry. How are y'all doing today? But it's like there are areas where a fire can happen, but like the earth will quickly recover. And that's like the element of fire through sulfur here. So we have the iron, that is the blood that carries oxygen. Oxygen fuels fire, right? We have sulfur, which alchemically corresponds to the element of fire. I think, again, I'm not 100% sure. But it's speaking of an element of transformation and acidity. And maybe that's why it's not yellow. Because the acidity, I'm doing pretty well. I was feeling like I was heavy in my emotions, honestly, not gonna lie. Um, I feel like I've been guided to make a certain decision for a long time, and it came in a way that could have been lighter. Nothing is said and done. Nothing is over. I truly believe that, and I was already coming to the space of making this choice and decision anyway. I don't know how anything's going to play out, but that's true anywhere. So, and yeah, but I'm good. I'm doing a lot better now. It's not that I was bad. It's just, when things actually happen, it's like, okay, well, I've been prepared for this. I have been paying attention to the signs. I guess they are playing out now. Um, So yeah, it's like there's acidity that's required, but it's not like stomach levels of acidity. I think that's like a pH 2, it may be like 2 to 4 in the stomach. I don't really remember. Um yeah, I know. And I know that like, you know, it's I was already feeling the pull to move anyway. It's just like, oh, now it's really go time. And the opportunities are lining up, so I'm excited. I'm excited. Yeah, it is like so my relationship with spirit, it's like I trust the impulses. Well, I trust them and I know it's gonna work out. But sometimes, and it's not very often, that well, it's not too often anymore. But I'll just be a little resistant. I'm like, oh, like I know, but like, and then I'll distract. Oh, okay, yeah. Seven of Cups, Seven of Swords. I'll kind of sort of distract myself with other things. I'm like, oh, but I could do this and I could do that. Like, I don't, these are things that are outside of my comfort zone, but that are more comfortable than the outside of the comfort zone that you're trying to place me. But at the same time, I understand that it's not about my comfort zone because there are many things guiding me in this direction. But again, while I'm exploring, I sort of find other things that I want. And like I said yesterday, it's like we're never too far off path. So the card for azaleas. Oh, what? Azaleas are coming out with the star. Okay. So we got the Ace of Cups that came out previously. And look, again, there's that water. It's like, well, where do you think the water from the Ace of Cups comes from? I love this. I love this. There's also a balancing energy here. There's a metering, there's a measuring. And it's like you don't want the soil to be too acidic, but if it's too basic, the azaleas aren't going to grow. And I want to see what's the meaning of azaleas? Like the spiritual or the flower meaning. Yeah. Thank you, D. And yeah, I do. I enjoy the journey. I've learned to enjoy the journey a lot more too. And it's funny because I was like, like I know that like I don't want to shortcut life. It may sound weird, but like I want to experience all that life has to offer. And I know that it's going to involve some trying times. It's going to involve challenges. It's going to involve tears and probably lots of tears. But again, like I don't want to cheat life in any way. And I want to be in a position where I can like more properly respond to things or react to things and not lose myself or I don't know, like I want to run the whole gamut. So let's see, azalea. How do you spell azalea? Azalea. Okay. Azalea. Oops, I got two A's. Flower meaning, there we go. You can manifest your water gift in the right cultivation. Oh, I love that. Oh, look at these. Love and gentleness. Throughout the world, this flower stands for love and gentleness, making it perfect to give to a loved one for any occasion. The azalea speaks of taking care of yourself and everlasting beauty, which is exemplified in this plant's long life, not only as a houseplant, but also as a cheery addition to your yard or garden. I love that it's coming out with this like love and this gentleness with the Ace of Cups, and then it goes into the star. I'm like, what? Like, this is gorgeous! Oh my gosh! And I also love that it's love and gentleness, but it requires some pretty acidic soil. So, can symbolize remembrance of home and a desire to one day return to it. They represent family and familial duty, but can also symbolize wealth and elegance. Azaleas can symbolize abundance, whether in beauty or in intelligence, along with feminine beauty and developing passion. Oh my gosh, why are azaleas so beautiful? I mean, I'm not surprised. Like this was a journey. Like this was a journey. But we got there, and I feel like again, it's like every time a tree popped up, it's like it's the things that are naturally there. It's naturally synergistic. You don't have to force a tree to do anything. You exhale oxygen, or you exhale carbon dioxide. They take in carbon dioxide, exhale oxygen. It's this balanced sort of like lemniscate infinity. It's just like there, and we don't have to do anything really to get it except for take care of ourselves and the ground. We have to give that love. We have to nurture. And so I guess like it does require something, right? It requires you not to destroy it or cut it down or whatever. But okay, this is gorgeous. This is beautiful. All right, so May 5th. Finally we caught up to today. We started with the 17th of April. 17th, 18th of April, and we're coming all the way to May. You need to embrace this entire reading and all the wisdom. If it resonates for you, take it. I've really tried to get to the point where, and it's so interesting because it's like, I know that there are many types of people, but there are certain ways that I kind of feel like things work like generally. Like on a general level, the divine is probably going to lead you to like love and healing and something more communal that is outside of just yourself. And how we get there or how we operate in that or our it's like our natural alignments. I keep wanting to say dignities for some reason, but like the elemental nature and aspect of our soul and of our makeup, maybe it'll lead some people more towards the element of earth, where it's like herbs and crystals and things of that nature. Maybe for other people, it'll be a little bit more fiery, or it's about like the expression or the creation and passion. It's something a lot more active, something a lot more in your face. Maybe with air, it's something a lot more like communicative. It's something a lot more intellectual. It gets into like books and symbols and things of that nature more. And then with water, it's a lot more just I don't know. It's different for everybody. And that's something that like in the space of someone who's trying to like use like cards and my own intuition and my own connection to try to help other people, especially in a more like, so I was led to, I guess I kind of sort of just started creating spreads around the energies of the major arcana. And then after I got a few of them in, it's like I want to use these spreads to help guide people in their own spiritual evolution and in their journey. And I had the idea to make like a curriculum out of it. And then I just so happened to bump into the perfect person who I wanted to start that with. And running through it with them, it's like I was doing one of the spreads, one of the first ones that involves the elements. And I'm like, why is there earth where the water should be? And I was like, why is there earth over here? Like there's so much earth here. Like I am made up so different that I don't understand what this is. Like I can get there kinda through context, but I operate completely differently. And it's something that like when it comes to the spreads, like we both pull. So I pull and then they pull and then we sort of come together to see what it can be. I offer like again, it's guidance, it's a little bit of a perspective, but it's to encourage the other person to really come into their own. But again, like with all of the earth that they have, I'm like, I don't know what this is. But through working with them, it's like we kind of sort of piece it together. And then it naturally aligns to a lot of the things that they naturally align to. And there are also sometimes in some areas where I felt like something like there'll be a position or there'll be a certain like string of messages where it's like I can like give you this, but for me on my side, this feels like something that is very shielded, it's very protected. This is something for you to discover about you intimately. This is not necessarily a space for me to come into. And so whenever we hit that space, I tell them, I'm like I feel like this is something that's being shut off from me right now. Like whatever this is, that's yours. You have to sort of delve into this. It's more It's closer to who you are. And I'm not going to intrude or impede upon anyone's internal sort of sacred spaces, girl, because I'm not about that personally. Um, but that has like just expanded my everything. Cause I'm like, wow, okay. 'Cause so like I really don't like I thought I knew. I thought I knew a little bit. Like there are some general things. I'm like, generally I feel like things are, whatever, but apparently not, which is fine. Which is why we all have our own paths. So anyway, May 5th, today, we finally made it here after almost 2 hours. This is the Battle of Puebla Day in Mexico. A Mexican jumping bean is a seed pod from the Mexican shrub Sebastiania pavoniana that has a that has a moth larva, Sedia deschisiana, inside. When the pod gets too warm, the larva jumps or twitches. So, a Mexican jumping bean is a seed pod from the Mexican shrub Sebastiana pavoniana that has a moth larva inside. When the pod gets too warm, the larva jumps or twitches. This is so funny because I just watched. I'd listened to it. I'm gonna watch it again. I didn't pay enough attention to it. But Santero's Pisces, it was like the Care Bear Crew video. I just watched it last night. And she talked about moth having a certain symbolism. And then I get on Twitter and someone like I saw it was one of somebody's like thingy. And she wrote like a bunch of like automatic writing. And at the bottom left it said moths, find the spiritual meaning. And then here's the moth larva again. Moths go through the same transformation cycle as butterflies, but it happens more in the space of the dark. Or we see the moth at night, we see the butterfly in the daytime. Again, it goes back to the beginning where it's like we need to differentiate between like dark and shadow. And then we also need to differentiate between light and like a false light, right? Shadow occurs when we obscure light. False light occurs when we obscure darkness. Neither light nor dark absolutely is good or bad. But it's the in between, it's the mixture, it's the grays and the like this much light, that much dark, and the contextualization we put on it through these experiences that can make things more or less subjectively and objectively good or bad. And so it's like there's this transformation that happens. Larva reminds you of evolution, yeah. And it hasn't been like it's still in the space of happening. I don't this twitching, it almost feels like a contraction. When the pod gets too warm, the larva jumps or twitches. What's the card here? The Page of Swords. And I actually love the Page of Swords here because it is a larva, right? It hasn't necessarily come out of the cocoon yet. Wait, larva. That's before the caterpillar, right? You're embracing polarized side of gifts now. Yeah. I think this is because the pupa is when it's in the cocoon, ready to turn into like the butterfly or the whatever, right? Right? Maybe this is the beginning. This is the beginning of a cycle that, and what's wild is that it feels like there's already so much transformation happening in this space of birth or the like this afterbirth. But it's not even the moth yet. Like it's still gonna go through the cocoon. Like it's like there's exponential growth that still has to happen. And again, it's perfect for this Page of Swords. Page of Swords, it's embracing the new. It's not afraid of going against the system in terms of like established thought. It's sort of like it's us before like the creativity and ingenuity is, I don't want to say beaten out of us, but before we sort of give it away for what is more conventional. There's still so much growth and development here. And I love that the first card out was the Ace of Swords and the last card out is the Page. And it's the same sword. And it's like we've taken in the spirit of this bird. Let's call it an eagle. It looks more like a falcon or a hawk. But we've taken on that spirit here. And it hangs around our neck, right? It's sitting between the heart and the throat. It's like the space where it's adventuring out. No problem, Amanda. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you. Appreciate it. I hope you have a good rest of your day if it's early there, but it might be, I don't know where you are. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it. It's like it's between the heart and the throat. So it's in that realm of things that we're venturing out to explore, but we don't yet have the full context to be able to accurately sort of communicate. But it's fine because we'll mature. And then like with the Ace of Cups and the star here, it's like spirit is pouring it down into the crown. And we're working up to the heart and the throat. So it's like it's gonna connect and it's gonna meet. Like we're really in, but when left it, but I mean, we get a little preview for the sixth that talks about headaches. Hold up, wait. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, we're just gonna look at May 6th. Because why not? This will be for tomorrow. We're going into tomorrow. May 6th says it's National Day of Prayer. So there you go. Ease a headache by drinking tomato juice blended with fresh basil. So we talked basil to ease a headache. To ease a headache when we're coming into this Page of Swords energy. And if the Page of Swords has a headache, it's probably because it's trying to reconcile this new information with the old information. It's trying to put it together, it's trying to figure it out, or it's trying to like with this new information, it's like you can receive it, but not necessarily know how it plays out. And in that process and in that time, oh, it's buffering. Welcome back. In that time and in that process, oh, what? I didn't know that. That's really cool. And it's like in that time of us learning what it actually means, it's like, 20202. I just saw 20202. Nice. It's like, like we think it's this, so we're working it that way. And again, it goes back to that larva energy. It goes back to the fact that the page is a page. And in a lot of ways, we're always pages. And in some other ways, we're always kings and queens. But it's like, oh, this means something now. And then when you learn and grow a little bit more, oh, it means something else. It's like it continues to evolve, it continues to deepen. And that's the thing. It's like everything on earth is growing, is evolving and changing. It's like the principle of movement, like everything is in motion, nothing is still. Even things that appear to be still are moving. And apparently tomato juice and some fresh basil will help you to contextualize or to ease the need to completely and fully understand things. It's like it'll help you allow things to unfold rather than trying to force a knowing onto something. And the card that comes out for tomorrow, I love this. From the Page of Swords to the Knight of Swords. It's the Knight of Swords. Once that headache is eased, once we're in the space, and this is like Gemini. North Node is in Gemini right now. This is us, like we take in the knowledge, we live life, we experiment, we allow it to unfold instead of keeping it pigeonholed, right? There's a bird, pigeons. I love that. We start with the Ace of Swords. We end with the Page today and the Knight tomorrow. Like, look at that. I guess it would be more like this. I love that. I think that's what I'll title this, like page today, night tomorrow, or something like that. I don't know. So that's what I got. Today we expand, arise, and expect all things are working to our good. Exactly. And as we continue to operate in that knowing, our knowing expands, we expand things. It's like we never necessarily know the whole thing, but it does change the way, like, there's a difference in speed here. Like, we can move forward more quickly. We can move forward with more trust. We can move forward with less hesitation and less worry and less fear. And when we fight it less, it operates quicker. And, bottom of the deck, after all of that, is the Hermit. Should I be surprised? Because this was a journey. The Hermit brings a light into the dark, right? Because we are human, because everything is either known or unknown. And as we venture into the spaces of unknown to make more things known, that's the Hermit that goes into the dark. I love that the Hermit is down there. I feel like it makes perfect sense for this 2 hour and 5 minute video. But yes, we can. We can, D. And it's that trust that makes it a lot easier. It does for me, at the very least. So, thank you, D. Thank you. I think I saw Zelda at the beginning. It's been 2 hours. Thank you, Amanda Eve, for popping in, for stopping by. It's been this has been a fun one. Again, that was April 16, 17 to today and into tomorrow. Excuse me, you're a loner, so Hermit makes sense. I feel like I used to be a loner, but now I am seeking community. So it also makes sense for me though, because my sun is in the 11th house. Also, my Saturn is in the 11th house, cusped in Aquarius, and I'm having a Saturn return. So, like, there have been ways that I've isolated and distanced and separated myself my whole life. There have been reasons, but it's for me to like drop all of that and to open up and do more stuff. Welcome back. No problem. No problem. No problem. Thank you for stopping in. It was fun. I'm gonna watch uh your Archangel Michael video. I have it in my watch later playlist. I was with my buddy and he had the last few days off, so I tried to spend more time with him. But it's next on my list. So yeah. Yeah. It's like when I can't remember which video Amanda from Anam Messages commented on, but she was like, these synchronicities that like tie us to like these people all over the world. It's like this soul family reunion, and I'm like, I like that. I like that, and I agree. So, yeah. You're fine. You're learning to incorporate community while keeping your time in balance. Yeah, it's there's a lot of things to sort of keep in balance, and for me, I guess it's rebalancing and learning to rebalance the things that I used to sort of hold so closely that I'm learning to let go. Like, I don't have to hold that so close, right? And if I don't know, again, it's like trusting the divine, embracing reasons, seasons, cycles, and lifetimes. Um, for the people who have come into my life and the time that they've come into my life, they were important and they helped me a lot, and I am so grateful and appreciative to them for everything. And moving forward, it's the same. So with that, I hope y'all have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope that you're acting in alignment to make everything that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that you can be open and vulnerable enough to tap into, be in touch with, and attuned to all that is like literally just like pouring out for you. Like, what? This guy's so gorgeous at the end. And don't be so hard on yourself. Like, you'll grow with it, you're mature with it. We don't have to have everything solved and resolved and all nice and neatly and wrapped up and stuff like that, right? We're meant to grow and expand, just like the hermit at the bottom. Like, it's all a part. and it helps us appreciate life a lot more. It can help us appreciate life a lot more. So, no problem. I'm glad to be of service, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye.